I'd like to bring into our solo spotlight a songwriter who exemplifies the great tradition of Texas troubadours, a man who moves easily from big band swing to folk wisdom to his own high and lonesome style of country music. Please welcome Mr. Lyle Lovett. Good to have you here.
That's great, LaMontagne. It's great. Thank you very much. What an honor to be on this stage. You know, John Prine is one of the great American songwriters. I rode across the great high plains, under the scorching sun and through the driving rain. And when I set my sights on the mountains high, I bid my former life goodbye. And so thank you, man, I must decline. It's on my steed I will rely, out underneath the open sky. I'm subject to the natural forces. Home is where my horse is. We loaded up in Buffalo. We took 90 south down to Ohio. On 80 west I'm Frisco bound. And when I get there I'll turn back around. And so thank you, ma'am, I must decline. For it's on these 18 wheels I out underneath the western sky. I'm subject to the natural forces. Home is where my horse is. And now every year they come to town, and they'll drag them all right in the ground. And when Mr. Bradley calls the score, every cowboy there, he'll try for more. So thank you, ma'am, I must decline. For it's on my 3-year-old I ride, and I'll spin and run and stop and slide. I'm subject to the natural forces. Home is where my horse is. And now the Cherokee and the Chickasaw, the Creek Seminole and the old Choctaw, they volunteered to move, they say, and we'll understand come Judgment Day. So thank you, ma'am, I must decline. For it's on this trail of tears I ride, out under Oklahoma skies. And sometimes at night I hear their voices. Home is where my horse is. And now as I sit here safe at home, with a cold Coors Light and the TV on, the sacrifice and the death and war. Lord, I pray that I'm worth fighting for. So thank you, man, I must decline, for it's on my RPG I ride, till earth and hell are satisfied. I'm subject to the natural forces, and sometimes at night I hear their voices. My home is where my horse is. My home is where my horse is.
Mr. Lyle Lovett. Lyle, it's a real pleasure to have you here and to hear you. And I have to really compliment you on this beautiful new song. I mean, can you tell us about the origin of this?
Well, thanks.
Extraordinary new song.
I mean, that is, you know, trying to figure out where a song comes from it's not always as easy. And songs that seem to sneak up on you and tap you on the shoulder and ask you to work on them and to finish them really are the ones that I end up liking the best, I think. And that's the way that song was. I really was, I was watching television at home and sort of just playing around on my guitar. And I was struck by this beer commercial that came on during the football game I was watching, and then struck by the contrast of all of that celebration with a commercial for the evening news, which was very serious in its tone, and I just thought, you know, that's the world we live in, and it just the song started to.
Do you find a lot of time you have, when the songs arrive, you actually have an instrument in your hands, or is it a scramble to pick it up, or is that a common way for songs to arrive for you?
You know, songs present themselves to me in different ways, but a lot of times just playing the guitar, I think.
Yeah. And how about in as it were, in transit, where you're caught between, you know, you're in a shopping mall or somewhere where there's a lot of ambient noise, or, you know, you could see an image, but you could get a melody and might be unable to retain it long enough.
Well, that certainly happens to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've written some really great stuff that I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I did that too. Yeah, like, you know, in the 1980s, or as I like to call it, the decade that music forgot. You know, when the world was really smeared with hair gel and synthesizers, you came up in a club scene along with Rodney Crowell, Steve Earle, who I mentioned, Nancy Griffiths, and I think, you know, who I regard as one of America's greatest songwriters, Lucinda Williams. And I know you admire Guy Clark, and there are other people that I know of the older generation that you admire. But coming up in contemporary with some of these people, did you find yourself hearing a song and then going home and thinking, I can do one better than that, or can do something the same world?
You know, my wanting to play and sing really came from being a fan. You know, from hearing a Lucinda Williams song or a Guy Clark song or a Townes Van Zandt song, and certainly not thinking I can do one to compare myself at all, but just because of the sheer joy of listening to great thinking, the great thinking that exists in their songs, it made me want to try to write something. It made me want to try to tell a story that I felt close to, and it was really their songs, along with John Prine's songs, that taught me what a song could be. You know, that a song could have a story, could have a narrative quality, and could paint these wonderful pictures, like the songs that John Prine sang, that paint these pictures, and you find yourself inside of these stories and living in the song. That's a very powerful thing, and that's the way those songwriters struck me as I got to the age to be able to go out to clubs and listen. There was a time in the late '60s that Guy Clark and Newberry and Townes Van Zandt and Jerry Jeff Walker all lived in Houston, and they really set a standard in the what were commonly called folk clubs, but were had nothing to do with folk music.
There's one songwriter that you mentioned in passing who is really very, very influential. I think everybody that likes Townes Van Zandt has a different favorite song. I mean, obviously, Pancho and Lefty has been recorded by numerous people, made famous by Willie Nelson and by Emmylou. Was there a moment when you heard him where he spoke to you really as a songwriter? Can you remember that first encounter?
Oh gosh, I first heard Townes Van Zandt on record, his album, The Late Great Townes Van Zandt, which Pancho and Lefty was on. And, but as soon as you listen to two of Townes' songs back to back, you get the sense of his sense of humor. You
left Texas for Nashville at a certain point, and when you switched to the big band sound, I mean, did you know that you had to give up some of that freedom? Because as a singer-songwriter, you can breathe with the thought.
What appeals to me, really, is to be able to play songs in different contexts, to be able to just stand alone and play a song. There is all that flexibility and expression. But there's also a great thrill in being able to play a song, to hear an idea you might have had, late at night driving around in your car or sitting on your couch watching television. There's a great thrill in hearing that idea come to life in the hands of talented musicians. That's a very powerful thing and something that I enjoy immensely.
Listen, it's just been the most greatest pleasure to really get to talk with you for the first time. Mr. Lyle Lovett. One of the most powerful and original new voices to emerge in popular music in this new century. Please welcome to Spectacle, LaMontagne.
Sold my coat when I hit Spokane. Bought myself a hard pack of cigarettes. The early morning rain. Lately my hands, they don't feel like mine. My eyes been stung with rust and blind. I held you in my arms one time. Lost you just the same. Jolene, I ain't able to go straight. It's too late. Well, I found myself face down in the ditch with blues in my hair, blood on my lips, and picture you It's been so long since I seen your face. Felt they poured all this human race. I've been living out of this here suitcase for way too long. A man needs something he can hold on to. A 9-pound hammer for a woman like you. Now either one of them things will do. Jolene, I ain't about to go straight. It's too late. Well, I found myself face down in the ditch with booze in my hair, blood on my lips. A picture of you holding a picture of me in my pocket of my blue jeans. I still don't know what love means. I still don't know what love means. Jolene, la 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 la, Jolene, la 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 la, Jolene.
Thank you very much.
The song that you just sang, I'm very glad that you did sing it because it was the first song of yours that I heard, and I think it did introduce you to a number of people. And it seems that you have spoken across borders now and generations. Did it come as a surprise to you that maintaining your intimate voice would carry?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big surprise. Huge. Yeah, man. I didn't, I never expected to make a living playing music. I wrote songs and I sang them for myself, but at a certain point, it started to get, I think I just started to realize that they weren't going to be real. They wouldn't have a life if they were just in my head. They have to be played for people and then either accepted or rejected, on their own terms. And so I found it very difficult because I never had an urge to be the center of attention or to be on stage ever. I still don't. I never wanted to. I don't have that. It's just not in my makeup to want to get on stage and perform. I mean, if I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't do it.
Well, obviously there is something that
but,
impels you to do it. That's
the songs.
Yeah.
It's just this much more.
I felt very much the same way when I obviously think.
Come on.
No, it's really true. Yeah. No, it is actually really true, and it's almost impossible to believe, but really, right? It's true.
Almost.
I believe that the songs can go and be famous, and I don't have to deal with any of that stuff that looks so crazy. You are blessed with a really remarkable voice. Were there voices that you responded to as a listener that made you think that singing was something that you might be able to do? Who would that?
Well, I think one of the first is certainly Stephen Stills. I've discovered this record, this Manassas record, the Manassas record,
that group
which is
play.
it's this great double album that's Ray Charles, of course, Otis Redding, Nina Simone, Joni Mitchell. I mean, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, but Joni Mitchell, what is so wonderful for someone who's just becoming sort of in love with songs is that right off the bat, she tells you that there are no rules. There really are no rules to writing a song. There's no rules to the form of a song. It doesn't have to be, you know, A, B, whatever the hell it is. There's nothing.
Sometimes when I'm writing, I have places that are in my life experience. It's a specific place I have in mind, and it doesn't always have to be somewhere you tell people about. I mean, is it all the idea of the song, is it within just the imagination, or is it a physical place you're dreaming these songs?
Oh, gosh, I think it's sort of a bit of both, you know? Yeah. But writing is just such a strange, it's such a strange thing. I mean, just the act of sitting down, you know, I never, there's no discipline, you know, it's like just picking up the guitar really at some point and instead of putting yourself in like a really dark wood, you know, where there's no discernible path, there's no discernible sense of place. And, you know, I'll just start finding a chord or a certain something I've been thinking about. And at some point, you know, you'll just see like a little light, you know, like a fairy light, you know? And it's not something you can chase, because if you chase it, it'll just disappear, you know? You have to just sort of pad along and follow this thing. And if I'm lucky, you know, a path will emerge and I'll just be able to follow this light to something. And maybe I'll get a bit of lyric or a bit of melody. Or maybe, if you're really lucky, you get a whole song just like that. You know, that has been known to happen. Yeah. But that's really what it's like. It's
like
really
a waking dream, then.
Yeah, I really have to get into that spot where I just don't know where I'm going. I don't know what to do, and sometimes it's not fun. You know, sometimes you just feel really lost, and you know.
Do you find playing that you're talking about playing the guitar and picking it up? I've had this experience happen a few times where a song has actually come into my head like a melody, and the minute you try and find the tune, it almost like ruins it, because it's the one that you're hearing in your head is much more elusive. And
right, exactly.
And the minute you harmonize,
and they're tricky. They're so tricky. Those little sons of bitches. Yeah. They're so tricky.
They just
slip
through your fingers.
You'll get this. You'll get it. Everything. It's all right there. You've got the whole thing. These beautiful changes, and as soon, like you say, as soon as you pick up the instrument, poof, gone.
So people who are paid to interpret what you and I do, and I don't really count myself in their number, even though I'm sitting there with a clipboard asking you questions, are sometimes guilty of probing too far or making too many assumptions or trying to build theories and then asking you to agree with them. And I can imagine that's happened to you.
Yeah, and it's very tiresome.
Yeah.
It's very tiresome, you know, and it gets very tiresome very quickly, you know.
And how do you deal with it? Silence?
Well, you know, if I don't have anything to say, I don't say anything at all, you know. Yeah. There's this sort of thing that I don't like people, or that I'm antisocial, or but it's not like that at all. It's just that, I mean, I love people. I love humanity, you know. No, I'm serious. I do. I'm not kidding. I do.
Collectively, and as a group, as
really,
I said earlier.
I mean, just walking through the park, you know, over the past couple of days. I mean, my heart was broken, you know, 20 times. You know, it's, I love people. I just don't like assholes. Yeah.
Thank you. LaMontagne.
pain till the blood run hot and sweet. She made life live in my blood. The mess I will repeat. Trust me, cross you like a man down. Don't mean that you gotta be. Alright, so shame, shame, shame. It's a crying shame.
It's been my real pleasure to share the stage with these gentlemen, Prine LaMontagne, John Prine, and Lyle Lovett. We've been talking a lot about all kinds of songwriters, but one name we kept circling around to was Townes Van Zandt, and we're going to do a song that both John and Lyle have recorded. You want to kick it off, John?
Loretta, she's a barroom girl, wears them sevens on her sleeve. Dances like a diamond shines, tells me lies I love to believe. Her age is always 22, her laughing eyes are hazel hue. Spends my money like waterfalls, loves me like I want her to.
Better won't you say to me, darling, put your guitar on. Have another shot of booze, sing a sad and waiting song. The guitar sings a melody, the guitar sings that Loretta's fine, long and lazy, blonde. Have her anytime.
Oh, sweetest at the break of day, prettiest in the setting sun. She don't cry when I can't stay, at least not till she's all alone. Loretta, I won't be gone long. Keep your dancing slippers on, keep me on your mind. While I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Loretta, she's a barroom girl, wears them sevens on her sleeve. Dances like a diamond shines, tells me lies I love to believe. Her age is always 22, her laughing eyes are hazel hue. Spends my money like waterfalls, loves me like I want her to. Loves me like I want her to. loves me right.